Hello, everybody. I am here with Marty, and we are at the Lodi Garden to tell you about the Lodi Community Garden today. So I'm going to turn the camera around so we can show you the garden, and we'll talk to you while we do that.
All right. Well,
Okay.
let's start right over here. So this is our herb box. So just for history, some people might remember a few years ago these beds were all up by the road. But we decided that's a little hard to work by the road. Sometimes gardens don't look as neat and pretty as flower gardens.
That is true.
So we moved them down here, and we had a great time doing it. It was a fun adventure. So the first one, we kind of went with what we had. So we called this the herb garden because wanting to take over.
I see that. Mint does like to spread.
In fact, this weekend, the pantry, we're probably going to harvest the mint. I'm going to pull it roots and all, so that people can either use the mint
or
for
plant
teas or herbs or whatever in their cooking, or they can plant one or two, whereupon they'll have enough mint for the rest of their lives.
Because it does. Mint
Which
just
is
goes.
a good thing. And I also, we'll walk over it, but I also pulled a couple and stuck them in near the stream bed with the idea that then that's less, as that spreads there, it helps with the stream bed, the banks, and it's less grass to mow.
That is true.
Which I really prefer to
Have less grass.
A lot of grass out of the way. So we've also got some chives, which I'll also be taking to the pantry on Saturday. I'm going to cut them and leave the flowers on. Because some people actually use the flowers for tea or in cooking in salads, and then some people just cut the chives up, and there's a lot of them, but I figure people can cut them up and freeze them, and then they can have them all year. And the nice thing about chives is when I cut them off at the base, probably 6 weeks from now we'll have another crop, and then 6 weeks after that, and 6 weeks after that.
They grow all over my yard.
Yes, and they're great. And
I know.
They spread and they fill in. They look lovely. To me, they're much prettier than grass.
Yeah, and then when my husband mows them down, like the whole yard smells like chives and onions because there's wild onion.
Beautiful, yes.
And I'm outside going, what's that smell?
I like this, yes. So, and then I put in a couple of marshmallow plants, which actually grow quite tall and have beautiful flowers. And I haven't learned that much about them yet, but they seem to grow well around here, so I thought we'll put them in, and as we start picking leaves and flowers, we'll figure out what to do with them. Kim's kind of our expert on that.
Trying new stuff is always
she's
good.
not an expert, but she's willing to go research it and put it together.
Yes.
To me, that makes an expert. So,
An expert is someone who can say, I don't know the answer, but I can find it
I
out.
can figure it out.
Yes.
And the options, too. And then I have to go check my records or use my little plant finder, but this is either marjoram or oregano. And I thought I had one of each, but obviously I don't because they're identical.
They're the same.
So that's another research project, but I'll get that figured out. And we put in one plant that worked of sesame, so we'll see how that does.
See how if he takes
That's an
off.
experiment. Actually, there's 2 sesames.
Okay.
And a couple of dill.
I like dill. And there's some dill over here, too.
And the nice thing about dill is it's a little bit like mint, but it doesn't cling so hard, so it'll grow everywhere. You can pull it out, and then you've got dill for cooking, salads, pickling, whatever. So I'm hoping also to eventually put maybe some of these herbs
back in
again
ground
down on
cover.
the stream bed, just because once they're there, they'll keep coming back, and we'll have an herb supply forever.
And we like dill because I make dill pickles.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I think last year we made 120 quarts and they're already gone.
Of course.
But so my mother-in-law had done dill for me in her raised beds. They live on 96A in Ovid.
Okay.
And she had thought they'd gotten it all up. My father-in-law tilled it all in. And she goes, look, I have this whole bed full of dill. Like, it's all dill, and it just came back.
Yes.
She's like, so we'll have dill again.
Exactly. Mine grows. I had a huge sea of dill right over my compost pile, which was great because it looked better than just looking at the compost
that true.
Might need turning now and then. And when I did need to turn a portion of it, I just pull up the dill and then went off to make my pickles.
It was probably pretty successful dill being on a compost
pile. It was very
pile.
happy dill. It was beautiful. All those little fuzzies.
Uh-huh.
So then over here we have, this was an experiment last year.
Okay.
Which we'll try again. We put onion seeds in the fall. I had read that you could do that and that some of them would grow. Well, a few of them did, not all of them. But then I just was checking this morning because it's too early for onions that I planted this spring. They're not ready yet.
No.
So we don't need to harvest them either until we really want them or until the tops fall over. So I think we're going to have a few whoppers here.
I think so. I don't think, look at these onions. They're not tiny.
They're sturdy.
There's my finger.
Yes.
So that's for
They're happy
sizing
onions.
points. That's pretty big onions.
Right.
I've never had luck with onions.
So we'll probably try to do that again. I usually at home do them. We work with a group of our friends. We order together and we get onion sets and I put them in. And I plant them closer, like everybody says 3 or 4 inches so they grow big. But I tend to plant them 2 inches apart and then I pull them
When they're
during the
smaller.
summer for instead
Right.
of scallions or whatever. And then they grow big. And then we have garlic here that we planted. We have garlic here, here, and here.
Right.
And we had actually done garlic the previous year, right after we moved the beds.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work out so well because when we got back in the spring and would have been filling up the beds and weeding and everything, that's just as the pandemic struck.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we were a little reluctant to be working together here. So it settled out. We had some weak, small garlic. But this year we had help from several friends. We had the Sage Hen Farms, who Kim will know the name. I keep forgetting it. And she grows multiple kinds of garlic. By the time I got with her in the fall, she had a few left. So we had 4 varieties from her. Another friend of mine had a couple varieties. Blue Heron Farm had a couple varieties. So we have labeled them. So we don't have to
So you
remember
know which
in
is
our head.
which.
And hopefully later this summer, once we've picked the garlic and dried it, then we'll be having garlic tastings, which I think will be kind of cool.
I love garlic.
I do too.
Garlic is my thing.
And the interesting thing is last year, I don't know if you noticed, but garlic was expensive.
It did. It went up.
Apparently, 80% of the garlic in the world is grown in China. So there was a bit of an issue. So
Yeah, 'cause nobody wanted to import.
We will be good.
You will be
We will
fantastic.
be garlic ready.
We have it just grows in our yard.
Yep.
So where we live is the corner of 89 and Hickok. The cider house is in our backyard.
Yep. Okay.
We live in front of Chris and Meg. So we think it was all a farm at one point.
Okay.
So we have apple trees on our property from back before they put in the orchard, and we find stuff all over.
Oh, sure.
Growing randomly. And there's garlic all over, but I haven't figured out how to harvest it yet.
Okay.
Or the right time. So
Well, here's
we
a
end up
tip.
with
We
lots
can
of garlic.
So you're starting to get, these are obviously earlier varieties.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting to get the garlic scapes, which actually didn't notice those the other day. So I may start picking those and taking those to the pantry. A lot of people use them in their summer cooking, salads
Yes.
and pestos and such. So usually it's once the scapes are done, but you want to pick the scapes off because that does help. My understanding is it does help the bulb grow bigger. But then I'm usually thinking about picking garlic about mid-July
Okay.
to early August, and then having it dry somewhere.
We got a spot to dry it.
Yeah, that's always the trick, is you don't want it all bunched up, and
No.
so you want it laid out and dried. And then I'm still using garlic from last year, and I keep the old onion bags when I have to buy onions.
That's a great idea.
And just hang them in that, and that works out really well. And we put in some lettuce. Some of this we started from seed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was doing well, but we obviously have a critter
Who likes to eat
We're going
it.
to have to trap and move him. But last week we moved some sorrel.
Okay.
Which not a lot of people know about. I've just started growing it. But that's this.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. Taste a little bit of it. I'll brush the dirt off. It's very citrusy. Some people don't like it.
Oh, I like
because
that.
it's bitter. So more often people cook it like into soups or sauces with
With other
cream.
stuff.
With potatoes, it makes a great soup. It's a very standard
It's really
French-
Mm-hmm. citrusy.
Isn't it wild? But it's funny when you cook it, which I hadn't done much, mostly, or unless I was cooking it into floppy things. When you cook it by itself, you would think spinach or something like that. It turns to a brown mush. It looks awful, but it still tastes
But
good.
it tastes
I actually took a class yesterday on making Chinese dumplings, and I
Yeah.
wanted a vegetarian filling, and I had some arugula and some sorrel that I had picked, so I said that'll be my filling, and I cooked it, and I was like, ew.
Ew.
But it tasted good, so okay.
That works. As
And
long
I
as it
added
tastes
to
good.
mushrooms and onions, so what can
Well,
go
or
wrong,
if
right?
you add it, if like you made like lemon chicken,
Yes.
and you put that
Yep.
in with spinach, and
Yep.
that would
It's
be
often
fantastic.
used on sauces on fishes, and you can see
Right.
the fish dishes.
That
because
makes
you can
sense.
see that with the lemon citrusy. And the nice thing is, it's a perennial, so
It'll just keep coming.
it'll keep coming. I did take it in. I only grew it for the first time last year. So I took them in and kept them inside and then put them back out. But I actually missed one, and that's doing fine. So that'll be kind of fun to see. And that seems to be something that the critters don't want to eat. So that's good. And we might switch. So over here, I have some. So these sorrels were from last year.
Okay.
And then we have a lot of arugula. And I
Yep.
might also switch the arugula down and the lettuce up, because the arugula is also apparently bitter enough that
They won't
the
eat it.
bunnies and everything else doesn't like it. So, and then we've got some Italian kale, and I'll be curious to see how that does, which that might also be something we can move down, because it's less user-friendly to things that eat things
them?
on the ground. So we'll learn, and we've actually talked about building a couple of other boxes, maybe not quite this high, but at a height that somebody could sit in a chair.
Right.
So that if we have people who can't
Can't get
stand
down.
or can't bend and lean, and that would be something to think about. So that's something.
my daughter built me two.
Oh, nice.
My husband and my daughter built me too, so we can probably get a couple
Perfect.
kids from the high school.
It's just right now we don't want to be doing
Yeah.
it because the price of lumber is through the
It's
moon.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It is really ridiculous.
A sheet of plywood's like $100.
Yeah, yes.
It's like, wait,
we
what?
stopped and bought 2 2x4s and 4 pieces of decking to make a plank to work on a motor in our boat. So 6 pieces that we could have
Wood.
carried, not even, I mean, the truck, we didn't
Right.
even have to tie it down. $85.
Yep.
I was like, what else did you get in there? Some gold nails? So anyway, we may do some more of this. Personally, I don't love raised beds because they dry out so much.
They do.
And we had such a tough year last year. We were going to build a rain barrel type of thing. There was no rain to rain barrel from. So we got some soil last year from Wilkins right up the road.
Yep.
And in addition to filling the beds up nice and full, we spread some over
Oh, yeah, I
there,
see it.
and we spread some over there. And I figured the ground itself, I'm told, is typical Finger Lakes hard pan clay.
Right. Yep.
And having tried to dig a few things, then I can see that. So I figure we'll just go step at a time, spreading some soil, covering with straw, and then eventually adding our own compost.
That makes
And
sense
we'll
to
get
me.
there. You can modify. You can amend soil.
You can
so it's
modify what
beautiful.
you need to do.
You can make it work.
And I don't know, the cucumbers like to grow in my clay.
Yes.
They love my clay.
Cucumbers grow everywhere. So we have some tomatoes. We have Megan,
Oh,
who's
yeah,
a
baby ones.
volunteer. She brought tomatoes that she grew. This is her second year, I think, growing. And she's having a great time with it, but she had some extras. And then those are tomatillos at the end.
Okay.
So that'll be fun.
This yellow.
Yep. We'll start going with, we'll start learning how to cook with tomatillos, which are a lot of fun. A lot of fun sauces, salsas, and everything. Added in with tomatoes, added in with peppers.
Well, Claire, my daughter, during the pandemic, she did Cooking with Claire on the Steps Facebook page.
Fun.
So maybe she could do a Cooking with Claire on
I love
tomatoes.
it. Okay, I've got to get Claire here.
Because she said she wants to bring Cooking with Claire back for the summer. Because now that she's back in
Awesome.
school, we're not doing Cooking with Claire.
Right.
But she thought that was just the best thing. She was Chef Claire. She had her
love
cooking
this.
show.
Oh my goodness, this is great. So then over here we have more garlic.
Okay.
Which now, and you can see we've got different stages.
Right. Because there's no scapes.
Right. There's no scapes yet.
Here,
but
yeah.
those weren't there Tuesday, so I
So
have a feeling
you might be close
things go
behind.
fast, especially with a little bit of rain. Now we did. Thank goodness we had some rain. last
Yeah,
night,
it needed rain.
because I'm so tired of watering.
I don't blame you.
It's really annoying. But
Well, and-
so we have the different garlic,
yeah.
and then
got
one's
1, 2,
coming.
3.
Yep. Okay.
There we
we
go.
Off to the races. So I put in some cilantro there, just because I figured cilantro is a good thing to grow.
It is.
Especially if we're thinking salsas.
Right.
Cilantro, and then there's I planted some carrots, but again, the planting and the stages of dryness, I think these beds are tough without watering every single day.
Right.
So we've got to build the team a little bit so when we have those dry times, we can get in here. I mean, I've been trying to put straw to hold in as much moisture, but when it's 70 plus and windy, it's almost every day. Almost every day.
So if anybody's watching or watches this and wants to help water the Lodi garden, you get in contact with me and I'll put you in touch with Marty.
There you go. That'll work. And then we've got some radishes because I love radishes. And they're good. They're good for the greens. I don't know if Claire's done any cooking with radish.
No,
greens,
we
but
haven't
you can
yet.
Use them a lot of the same places you would use spinach or Swiss chard, whatever. They're and sort of like beet greens, so they're a little better. They're better cooked, but some people eat them raw. And then radishes, I think, are just a lot of fun because they can go in things. They're good roasted. We just got turned on to roasted radishes, and oh my goodness. A lot of people eat them, and I remember my grandmother doing this with butter, raw radishes with butter. I'm like, well, okay, I guess the antioxidants and the fiber counter. It seems to me a bit of a mixed message there.
Well, my great uncle he'd eat the onion raw and he'd put butter and salt on his raw onion and then eat it like an apple.
Okay.
It's like, okay.
That one I haven't heard.
Okay. Okay, then.
So I'll be reseeding a bunch of things in here because when you seed and then it's not wet and it doesn't get watered every day,
they don't come up.
They just don't come up. And sometimes they pop up later, but sometimes not. And then over here we've got a few peppers. The peas I put in earlier, but the peas, I thought we were cool enough, but peas really don't like any heat at all.
No.
And so I think the peas, I'm not pulling out anything that's there. We'll see how far they go, but I also think the critter chews the tops of the peas too.
So yeah, the critter is not helpful.
The critter's got to be dealt with. Parsley came back from last year, and I have to read a little bit about parsley because it wasn't like teeny tiny parsley leaves last year, but it is. And I have the same thing at home, that one or two that came back seemed very, very much smaller. And then, so it's harder to get the leaves and you've got more stems per leaf. So we'll probably plant some more parsley and just haven't gotten to it. And then those are leftovers I had that are either cauliflower or broccoli because I missed the label, but we'll figure it out when they come up.
When they come up, you'll know, right? What's the purple?
That's a pepper. I forget which kind. That came from Megan. And I thought she labeled it, but I know she knows what it is. So, and then I had a couple of these, and so we'll figure them out. And some of them I planted seeds from peppers that I got last year at the farmer's market or at the pantry if they were going to throw out peppers because they were getting squishy. I just took them and used the seeds. So we'll see what happens.
Might as well use everything, right?
Throw nothing away.
No.
There's one little bitty cucumber that I planted from seed, and he was just coming up, and he got chewed a little bit. But I was able to hide the mulch, and the leaves seem okay. So we'll see.
It does seem like
once they start to grow, they go.
Oh yeah,
it's
they
amazing.
go
Something
huge.
that looks frail and puny, like that one. I thought it got chewed, but there's a new leaf, and once there's a new leaf,
it's safe.
It's safe. So.
Well, we planted a smaller garden, just what we know we'll use.
Yep.
Because with 3 kids and everybody running in 100 directions and 2 parents working full time,
right? Who's got time to pull weeds?
We don't. So we have like 5 rows of cucumbers. I think I have like 100 and some cucumber plants because the kids will eat them raw.
Yes.
And then we tried corn this year. We've never done corn before.
Okay.
We'll see.
I'll look forward to your report.
And Claire planted sunflowers.
Oh, fun.
And then they have peas and beans because Claire will go out and eat them. And once you
plant sunflowers, you'll have more because the birds and the chipmunks will plant them for you.
And we have lots of birds. My daughter did the Cornell bird watch.
Oh,
my
nice.
oldest daughter.
Very nice.
So she's got her bird feeders and she feeds them every morning. And right now we have 4 robin's nests with baby robins in different spots in the yard. So she's super excited about
That's fun.
Her baby robins.
Well, and that would be fun to then move into some plants for at least butterflies. I mean, most of the landscaping around the library is native plants.
Right.
With that in mind, but so we'll see how that goes. So as we build our team, hopefully we can do
work that.
Some of working that and tying in the pollinators too. And I think there's room to, I could even see chives sort of like in every corner of every box, and
Right.
gradually encroaching on the grass. And
Right. You could do that. I mean, that'd be a good thing.
Right.
Yeah, and we have lots of milkweed in our yard.
yes,
We have lots of
There's
that.
a couple up by the road, but I think they get mowed. I think that's the next step, is kind of figuring out what we want.
Well,
And
there's
then it has to get marked very clearly, because
Yes.
in fairness to the mowing guy, he's on a big thing. And
right.
If he has to work too hard at it, that makes life difficult.
Well, and
for
there's
him.
a resident who's working with me, and we had talked about doing, because you can get your area designated like as a monarch safe space.
Right.
So she's interested in doing something like that, and maybe doing like a book walk, like the Very Hungry Caterpillar or something, through native plants and pollinator. And
Right.
the ladies at the library said she could do one by the library. So
Great.
we said that would be a good one. So
That would be
she's just
great.
in her planning stages, but
That would
get
be good.
we figured do one here, do one at the Ovid Garden, incorporate more into their garden pollinator field that they already have, and just
Right.
work.
Yep. And
work
we've
with
got
what already
some
starts, and-
things are coming up, and we've got this one noxious weed that we keep pulling out.
We have
It's,
pink swallowwort that's horrible in our
Is
yard.
that what that is? The green thing? Here, walk.
Let's go look.
Let's go look.
Let's go look.
I used to have a book of weeds, and I think I lent it to somebody and forgot
And didn't
to.
get it back.
But you can look them up on the internet so fast anymore.
They have the apps. You can just scan the leaf, and it'll tell you what it is. No,
Okay. I forget what.
that's not swallowwort. Swallowwort has like little pink buds on it and little tiny shiny leaves.
Ah, okay.
And when you try and pull it, it doesn't pull the roots out. It just breaks.
Okay.
And it's a pain in the butt to get out.
Well, we're making headway. We're down to
Yes.
just this section, and I haven't worked this hard. But and then we have one thistle over there. It was right in the middle of the walkway there. So
Right.
Beth was very sad, and I said, no, thistles are good because so many birds and things love
Right.
them. So I moved a thistle over here, and it looked a little shaky at first,
But now it's
it seems to
come
be
back.
recovering, which means we'll have thistles everywhere next year. But that's okay.
that's okay.
They're beautiful.
The birds will be happy.
Exactly. So, and I don't know what these are. We have a map
Of
what's
what's planted where.
and I think hopefully that's where, if I got a couple kids involved, we could have that in a presentable form, maybe laminated, so we
Right.
could have that posted, and
Yes.
then people can see, and maybe a couple of labels. I don't think we need labels on everything.
No, but
just
they
a
could make
couple.
it pretty on the computer and
Yeah,
laminate and
exactly.
make a little
Exactly.
signpost and
Yeah.
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 Oh,
So,
yeah.
and I did put in a few mints on this, rather than have to constantly weed this.
No, it makes
We put mint in, and then we just
let it
whack
grow.
back when
Right.
when it runs into this. We'll just pull
Cut
it
it
out.
back.
And it pulls out pretty easy. So
It's just a playing game.
that's right.
Trial and error.
That's
It's
right.
the best way to learn.
Right, but hopefully we can pull. Just keep expanding what's planted. Build some paths between things rather than have more and more beds.
Right.
And I don't think we'll ever be, well, you never say never. I don't think we'll be like Ovid right now, because nobody seems to want their own bed. So it's just
Right,
kind
it's
of
just
working to
work
grow
to-
for the
right.
pantry and for whoever's working, learning things, and hopefully just making
Go
some
from there.
progress. We did get word from the pantry, the folks at the pantry, that we should skip growing zucchini or yellow squash, that we have plenty of those.
Okay then.
You know
Yes,
how
I know how that
zucchini
goes.
takes over
It does,
everybody's
and then
life.
it's done.
So we're not going to bother with those. So that's why we started out with a lot of greens, garlic, because it was
Things
in
they
short
can
supply.
add.
Things that work well,
Right.
store well. I hope to put in some potatoes soon, and beans. I know a lot of people jumped the gun and got beans in, but I've just always believed June 10th for beans, and before that, you're just taking a risk. I mean, look how cold it was
I know.
last weekend. So
You are taking a risk. That is true.
and so why bother? We'll just take things, and then I think there's some things we'll think about growing in the fall or in the midsummer for the fall.
Right.
Like Brussels sprouts, things that if we put them in now, they'll bolt too fast. They won't work out right.
Right. No.
And we really, usually in Lodi, we're picking lettuce and greens well into November.
Yes.
So things don't stop after Labor
No.
Day. They really...
As
some
much
of-
as the world thinks it does, it doesn't.
Right. And even things like greens, I mean, we can start putting lettuce back in late August and have lettuce, maybe some kale, maybe some things that then overwinter. I know the library has a book which I've skimmed through once, but it was a lady, I think she was in Canada, maybe Nova Scotia, and she really has a garden all year round. You know, she builds sort of hay bale walls and
covers it, but keeps it all year.
It's pretty amazing to think that you could do some things year round. So, okay, that would be kind of cool.
It's well, I mean, I guess the hay bales and the plastic would kind of work like a high tunnel.
Right.
Like that high tunnel concept.
Yep. And not even plastic, just old windows.
Yeah, that works.
Most people with a barn have
old windows.
So I have a
that
feeling
is
those
true.
would be easy to come by.
That's probably pretty true.
So I think trying some things like that will be kind of fun. Pumpkins, though, I think we need to put in pumpkins. Those were also apparently in incredibly short supply last year, both for pie food.
Yeah, you couldn't find pie filling.
And also for Halloween display.
Luckily, we have the pumpkin stand,
right?
And they didn't have short supply.
But apparently,
but I guess some
told
places
things were
did.
A little more expensive, and people were telling me stories of buying seeds that were $10 a seed for some of the big ones.
Yeah, I'd heard that too.
I'm thinking we put in some pumpkin, some squash, some things that, you know, people don't always, they think of either as sort of one-time seasonal, but, you know, pumpkin and squash, you can just cut them up and grill them with some sauce, and they're like,
they work.
Great. So I think there's a lot of things that if we can do that, we talk about how to eat them year round and not just, I mean, Thanksgiving isn't the only time you
to eat pumpkin.
Cranberries.
Yeah, that's true.
Pumpkin.
My son would eat cranberry all the time.
And I don't think it's not wet enough here for cranberries.
No.
But the other thing that would be fun to try, maybe next year, I was reading about another thing that was in short supply last year was saffron.
Okay.
And you grow it, it's crocuses, and you harvest the little middles.
Oh.
That's why it's so expensive, because you got to pick it and pull that out.
Right.
But apparently 80% of the world's saffron is grown in India, so we also have
Again.
farms. But there are some farmers in Vermont that are growing it, and it doesn't need a lot of space to get a fair amount of saffron. And you pick it late, like October, November, and then you can do your sorting and everything
over the winter
while you're watching TV.
Right.
And literally, that's the way the farmers were describing it. Like, it doesn't interfere with anything else we're doing, so it's an add-on crop, and it's
goes worth
for
money.
A pretty penny. I thought, isn't that fun?
Yeah. That's a good use of time. Good use of downtime.
Right.
So maybe we'll have Lodi residents while they're watching TV, sorting their saffron.
So that's something to think about. And then calendula too. I have some at home to bring up. And calendula is actually, which country do they? In some of the Eastern European countries, they use it as a saffron substitute. But I know it's also all kinds of herbal and medicinal and whatever. And it grows like a weed once it's planted. It reseeds itself and reseeds itself.
So you might as well.
Right.
Might as well grow it.
Why not?
if it takes care of itself and you just have to kind of weed around it,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest problem is there's too much and you have to pull it out. Okay.
Low maintenance is good.
Yes.
Low maintenance is good.
So those are some of the thoughts right now.
So if people want to help, what days?
So right now what we're doing is Tuesday, 2:30 to 5.
Okay.
Thursday, I said Tuesday, right?
Yep.
2:30 to 5. Thursday, 9 to 11.
Okay.
And I'm thinking if I get in touch with your kids, maybe we'll talk about, is Saturday good? Is there another afternoon that's better?
So the middle high school, the good thing is the middle high school gets out at 2:30.
Okay.
Well, 2:19, but the elementary school doesn't get out till 3:30.
Okay.
So there's like a 45-minute gap.
Yeah.
That maybe some kids would want to come work and parents would come do something for a little while before picking up the younger kids.
Yep. Okay.
Because that hour difference sometimes is a pain in the butt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do? So, okay. Well, that's good. So, but I figured if working that out directly with the kids might be the smartest. So you get
Yes, I will let you know. Yes.
We'll work those
we'll go
things
there.
out. And, but Saturdays, some people said Saturdays are good because they don't have school. Others say, well, that's the day our family catches up on everything around the house. So maybe
it's a
once
toss-up.
A month on Saturday, we have a project. Come in this Saturday, we're doing da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
But we can also, I mean, we can, once I've met with somebody and walked them through, there's a lot of things people can do on their own. I don't have to be here, you know.
Right.
We can come up with a project list of
These are
here's
what
this
needs
week,
to
we
do
can
and put it
a
in the
whiteboard
shed.
up and
Yes.
just people,
Yes.
X, I did this today.
So if anybody wants to donate a whiteboard.
I got one already.
Oh, look,
I just
we
gotta
got a
clean it
whiteboard.
up.
Nope, we don't need a whiteboard. We got a whiteboard. We need help. We just need people to come help and garden.
Right.
That's what we need.
That's what we need.
That's what we need. All right, so we are going to say goodbye from the Lodi Garden. If you didn't know, we are behind the Lodi Library. So come out and help or get in touch with me or Marty, and we're happy to have you involved. Have a great day.